doesn't. You know,
I just wanted to
it's
record this.
positive.
This is what happened with Bitcoin. One of the
guys, what's
best,
going
most
on?
inspiring speeches I've
Rick in the
heard.
house.
No, it's not Rick. It's not Rick. It's not Rick. God, it's United.
I don't know if
I'm
this is
not
going to
Rick,
be
Jesus.
posted or not.
Why everyone said you were Rick, dude?
I just wanted to go ahead and
I'm
post
not
this.
No, just to clarify, guys, I am not Rick. I can't take credibility for a channel that is not mine. I'm not Rick.
You should make a new one, like a spin-off, dude.
No, I'm not going to make a new one. Why would I want to do that? This channel's like this is gold. I'm not going to like make a channel at all. I'm here. This is a community. No chance.
Everyone knows you don't make you don't even trade currency. You're just waiting for the YouTube subscribers.
Pardon?
I said I was just joking.
No, I believe that's why I can give such good insight and good calls, because of the level of trading I've had. But I do need to say, guys, right, we are going to have selling pressure and things like that. But the point is, it's like this, right? If we have selling pressure, okay, what's going to follow is a lot of buying pressure, okay? It's going to offset, okay? Because we cannot remove the market cap that we have in crypto. So I think we need to focus upon that. If we've got sell pressure, actually, instead of saying we've got sell pressure, let's actually look on the hourly markers, on the candles. Look, especially looking at right now when we've got this big decline, we need to start looking at maybe slightly high. I mean, if you're a scalp trader, that's different. But I think a lot of people in the YouTube channel, they are not. They're coming to this channel for the calls, right? A lot of people can't even determine what the boxes mean. So, in terms of that, let's generalize it. Okay. The fact that the market's fallen red is nothing to worry about. In fact, it's fantastic. It's perfectly healthy. It's good for market, okay? Because we've had a big bullish run across many coins, and it's coming towards the end of the year, okay? That's a psychological factor to consider, right? So it's not sell pressure, okay? This is opportunity, but it's about picking the right opportunity, and the way that you do that is by what we keep saying, or what I keep repeating. Do your risk to reward ratio, okay? Do your cost dollar averaging to make sure that you are actually in profit each time you make those aggregated orders. And if anything, if the market has been in a decline for more than 24 hours, this is when we would then switch to the daily view on the candle, because we would want to start to see a candle indicative of the next movement, right? So if we're going to see a candle and we see the body is being pushed up the wick, that is upward pressure from the bulls to push the price up, okay? So we're in quite a bearish trend at the moment, okay? So what we're looking for essentially is we want to see dojis, okay, which is basically indecision, and I expect we're going to start to see those dojis. But there's many different types of dojis. So doji is basically a body on an open and a closed price where there's equilibrium between buyers and sellers, okay? So they're the kind of candles that we need to be looking at when we're discussing it to the guys on the YouTube stream, and then conveying what those candles mean in terms of a lot of people who are panic selling right now, not only in the YouTube stream, but across many platforms. So this is good, this is healthy, because everything's on sale right now. And for people who have like an eclectic portfolio, this is your time now to start topping it up, because this is cheap, you know?
Oh, this is Christmas right here.
I'm with you on that. I tell you what's concerning, and a question is, what are your thoughts now on the fact that we've just dropped to 394 billion on total currencies, so including the alts, down from 500?
Well, that would be indicative of okay. So if we consider across the just the top 100 in the market cap on CoinMarketCap, not to mention that, you know, there's a lot more coins out there, is that we've had a lot of liquidity taken out of the market, right? Because we've had a lot of people who have dumped and panic sold. However, what we need to consider is that there's so many locked in buy orders already in many different order books across so many exchanges for these coins. So as soon as a price or some of these coins drop to like what is a critical level, it's going to be pushed up so viciously. And the reason I know this is because you look at the order book, right? You look at the formation of the candles, and you also look at the body, and also the wick, and where the body lies in relation to the wick, okay? So if people are looking at the daily candle or the hourly candle, quite clearly, if you see what is essentially like a hanger man or a shooting star or all these different names for these candles, if you see a long wick and the body is at the bottom, that's downward pressure. So that means that is indicative of potentially you are going to have a drop in price. So the candles really tell the story. But at the moment, from when I look at the candles, I'm starting to see body being pushed up. Okay. And what I really want to see, and I'm starting to see, is again dojis, a very small body, which means open and close price was basically the same. And then also you compare it to the previous candle because that offsets the open and close price, which is what makes it go from green to red or vice versa. So selling pressure is realistically reducing. The selling pressure is reducing. Okay, we can't be looking at all coins at the same time, but overall, from what I've been seeing, the selling pressure is reducing, and this is why things are not crashing as some people are saying. Someone's saying to stop this guy talking right now. I mean, I'm giving good advice. I don't understand why.
No, keep talking. Keep going.
Keep going. Get the haters. He doesn't have any coin. That's why.
I mean, if I do say anything if there's anything I'm saying that's wrong or incorrect,
using the chat?
I'll let you know. Don't worry.
somebody scrutinise me.
Using the chat?
I'm down for that. Okay, so the point is, so for example, right, I'm going to quickly. Do you know what? I'm just going to quickly pull up a chart. I'm not even a TA. I'm just going to look at the candle, right? Okay, so right, if we look at BTC to USD, right, if I look at the hourly, right, okay, so we've had this bearish trend going down from, let's have a look, probably from like the 18th or the 19th. It's been going down in this aggregated manner where each peak has been getting gradually lower than the previous. Okay, now we do need to consider, we do need to take into account that futures do short, and also when they short, they also have already pre-existed locked in their buy orders. So of course they're going to offset the short margin position, and they're going to want the price to go back up. It's in their best interest to go back up. Otherwise, if the contracts get liquidated, it's going to be at the expense of fiat, US dollar predominantly. So it is in the interest to maintain integrity. Otherwise, if crypto goes down, it's going to bring down, probably will have a massive impact upon fiat and the entire world. So that's not going to happen. I'm telling you that now. So the previous hourly candle, okay, I wouldn't quite say it was a green hammer. It wasn't. However, the body, it was a fairly decent size, but it was pushed up towards the top end of the wick. Now this is upward pressure. Okay, so this is indicative, not of a 100% reversal, but this is indicative that the bulls won and they pushed the price up and stopped it from being a big red candle, which continued going downwards. Now we're on the next hourly candle, which finishes in about 48 minutes. Okay, so the current price, well, this is just from Bitfinex, but the price is irrelevant. The current price is about 11,869. Okay, now this price in this hour, right? This price is going to go up. Okay, and also what you need to consider is on the hourly, I start to see, and some of you experienced guys should really have said this, right? Okay, I'm starting to see what looks like a bit of an inverted cup and handle. Now, guys, we know this is indicative on a bearish trend. A cup and handle is the reversal to the bullish side. And then the fact that after that big red hourly candle, we then have this green, almost a green hammer, but not quite, but this upward pressure, that would also cross-correlate with an inverted cup and handle at the bottom of the downward trend to then push up the buying pressure. So we need to revert from selling pressure now to buying pressure, because this is going to start to get these guys to look at entry points for your traders, your scalp traders, but for the hodlers, guys, like if you've got a portfolio and you're hodling coins, you should be buying like not massive amounts, just tiny amounts, little amounts, but often, right? Okay, so you have 3 to 4 orders or 3 to 6 buy orders, so you don't get burned, because if it does drop down further, you've safeguarded your capital, right? So this is why we buy it at different points to safeguard against that massive dip if it does go the other way around. However, looking at the hourly, We're gonna go over 12. We could fluctuate, but from the candle analysis that I see and knowing how candles work, it's not going to go much lower, guys. Like, I don't understand why there's so much panic and why we're saying to sell so much. If you've got coins like BTC, Litecoin, Ethereum, I could go on. Like, you do not sell those. Like, anybody to short those coins right now would be ridiculous, because when these come out of the red and
saying sell,
huh?
Who's saying sell though?
There's a lot of people. It's irrelevant where it's coming from, but within the platforms that are integrated right now between Discord and also YouTube and a live stream, we are seeing a lot of people to say sell, sell, sell. Now this is really, really bad advice, guys, because if you sell now, what you're actually going to be doing is you're going to be at such a loss, because the initial price that you bought in at, you're nowhere near. So if you sell at just 5% underneath your break even, and depending on how much capital you have in there, you could be losing a lot of money. Okay, so number one rule: you never sell under your buy-in price. Just wait for it to rebound, and it will at some point. This is number one rule. Okay, and BTC cup and handle. Okay, inverted cup and handle, followed by nearly a green hammer, selling pressures upwards, and
the time you're looking at.
We've just breached the 12,000, okay, as I said, right?
Yeah,
so
I was just going to say that keep talking, because you're just driving the market up, so keep going.
Pardon?
Can you post your chart so we can see the cup and handle?
So basically, let me screenshot it. It's off Bitfinex. It's literally just the hourly BTC to USD. So there's so many variations we could do in different exchanges. However,
yeah, I'm looking at Bitfinex. I just can't see it.
You can't. So go to the, okay. If you right, you should be able to see that, right? Go to the hourly view, BTC to USD, right? And what a cup and handle. So you see that U formation, yeah. So that is basically the start of an inverted cup and handle formation, right? Which is then followed by that green.
Oh, I see it now. Yeah.
Okay, so when we're on a bullish trend and we're coming to the top of the momentum, you'll have a cup and handle, but it will be like a cup and handle which is resting on a table, so to speak. So that basically means that it's going to go up in price a bit more, but then it's going to come down quite aggressively. But when it's inverted at the bottom of a bearish trend, this is indicative of a reversal to the upside. Now, no sooner than I said 8 minutes ago, we're now at 12,214. So we just looking at that basic cup and handle formation, and then the green hammer with the upwards buying pressure, which we need to focus on buying pressure now, is now being followed by an increase in price. This does not mean it's going to be maintained. It could oscillate, it could fluctuate. But the point is, these coins are going to start to creep up out of the negative very, very slowly, then boom, the buy orders will be fulfilled, and then before you know it, 40% will turn into 5%, and you'll be like, God, that recovered so quickly. And it does this every time. It happens every year. It's not just each coin that needs to correct. The entire market needs to some time to correct. In unity altogether, established a baseline and a support line for the entire market, not just a coin, but the entire market needs support and resistance together. We need to consider that, okay? They all work in kind of synchronicity. So stop worrying, guys, okay? Don't short your position and just top up on your portfolio, and let's focus on buying pressure now, okay? The order books are looking fruitful, okay? Just look at the people waiting there for the price to hit that certain point, and then bang, you're going to see some very big green candles. I promise you.
Thanks for cutting through the FUD, man.
No worries, no worries.
Very well spoken.
Okay, I only just wanted to jump in just for that little bit there, because I was seeing a lot of panic going on. I don't always want to come in and talk too much because I do waffle on, but I'm seeing a lot of panic, and I'm also seeing a lot of, and you guys within the chat now, we have good discussions, but I really do want us to focus not on selling pressure now, because selling pressure is buying pressure. Okay, so that's the whole point. I want to cry after his analysis. You know what, guys? There's a saying in life, you know, Nobody wants to celebrate one's success with good advice, but everybody wants to thrive in someone's misery. Okay, so we ignore those trolls. But the point is, I've just said to you, inverted cup and handle, followed by a green hammer, then an increase in price. This does not mean it's a breakout, however, just from looking at that formation, after seeing what was going on and hearing some of the panic, I took a quick look at the graph, and then I had to throw it out to the YouTube stream to say that you do not need to worry. Like, just do not worry. Just stop panicking. This is merely it. Just top up, but don't do big bulk orders. And if you bought at a high price and you're concerned and you want to sell, you should not be doing that. And then you need to then, once you get back to your break-even point and things recover, don't trade. Take a couple of days out and just reflect upon your decisions and your entry points and try and analyze where you went wrong and how you can rectify it in the future. And also come up with a contingency that if the same occurs again, how do you offset your margin and your loss to ensure your entire portfolio and your liquidity, and more importantly, that it does not affect the family and the food on the table. That's the most important thing. The profit is second, the family and security is first, and we need to ensure that. People are messing around with money from savings accounts, selling cars and all kinds of things. So let's talk about the buying pressure, because it's coming, guys. It really is coming. And the weekend's fantastic for alts and trading. So capitalize on it, okay?
I completely agree.
You're a man, bro.
Okay, guys. So I'm going to stop going on there, and that's that. But yeah, this is looking fruitful. And each coin has its own correction, but each market has its correction too. Okay, so the entire market right now, considering that, you know, when Bitcoin was shorted when the first futures came out, the entire market went red but rebounded 20-30 minutes later. Okay, however, in this situation, we've seen a bit of a prolonged period of negativity and reduction in liquidity and volume in the entire market cap. This is fantastic, guys. This is really good. That means people are taking out their profits, people are locking in their buy orders, and it's going to bring in even more money. So if anything, if you interpret it on a level of not just price, but thousands of factors, as many as you can, you will understand that this should be making you smile. So do not worry, do not panic, and just hodl and do not exit your position at a loss. That is the most important thing, because if you do that, you'll get into the habit of doing that every time. And why? Because you are trading with emotion. Now, emotion will get you wrecked, and that's that. So just bear that in mind. Okay, safe trading.
Can I say something? Can I say something? I'm sorry.
Of course you can.
Actually, he was just helping us scalp trade. That's all. We all knew the market was going to go up. We took up big buy positions. We were scalp trading, and yeah, I think you took the right time, like chose the right time to come in because the market started recovering. But he was just helping us scalp trade there. Yeah.
Oh no, absolutely. But I mean, just I think it was just to address not only Discord but also people in the live stream that you know, because this is a new obviously feature in terms of there was just music before, and now obviously we've got, you know, us kind of discussing calls and things, blah. But the point is that if you actually look at the cumulative index figures and quantitative data, I mean, I've got a script which reps all data from all exchanges across all coins. It puts it into a chart from the script through Linux, and it's showing me that we're starting to see gradual increments and we're starting to come out of the negative. Doesn't mean it's going to be quick or slight.
I was going to say just keep talking until we reach 13,000. So please, you know.
But the point is, from my data and from various other charts that I have, things are going to start to recover, guys. So yeah, that's it. Don't worry. But yeah, I don't think we have too many scalp traders in the actual live YouTube stream. I think we've got some good experienced guys in here, and sometimes we forget that we've got people in the YouTube who are like, guys, do I buy? Do I sell? Do I buy? Do I sell? And then you get a troll who comes along and says, buy, and it's dropping like phenomenally. And then they're like, 10 minutes later, I've just lost £2,000 or $2,000, and it's like, this is where we need to sometimes keep an eye on the live chat and make sure that things don't get lost in translation, and that some of the trolls, which we're inevitably going to get, do not allow people to be at financial deficit just because they take enjoyment in seeing people suffer because they either have a complex or they wasn't cuddled as a child. I don't know. But the point is, don't let the trolls
Scared money don't make money.
don't let the trolls get to you. All right, guys. I'll see you later.
Hold on. Thanks, Red. I mean, United.
That was amazing,
Hey
man.
guys.
We'll be back
See
in
you later,
5
guys.
minutes.
United.
Peace.
United, I have just one question. Where
Okay.
do you learn this stuff?
Where do I learn this stuff?
Charting data.
Yeah.
So, do you know
YouTube.
what? Where do you learn this stuff, right? Every single day, for 1 hour, you learn something new, different every day. And that learning process is what makes you want to know as much as possible about whatever your interest is. So for me, cryptocurrency, for me, I want to know as much as possible. And if I think I understand it, I don't understand it. I scrutinize myself because we're always learning, right? So there's so many resources and platforms that you can learn, and it all starts with google.com, okay? But secondly, the live stream and Discord and some of the people who are discussing are really giving away such valuable information. We've got the charts in the YouTube stream from Rick, who is posting a phenomenal entry and exit points. I mean, guys, as long as you've got eyes and you're not colorblind and you can see green and red, you can't get it wrong. You just can't get it wrong. But as to where you learn this from, network. Your network is what makes you money, but also if you give to others first and you gain respect, the money and the doors and the opportunities come in abundance. I promise you.
Starting right here, you can learn a lot from this channel alone.
Massively,
Channel,
massively.
right? Yeah, that's right. Subscribe, like.
Just a question, United, just really quickly. About the inverted cup and handle, can that also be a signal that it's not a false breakout, but going a bit further and then coming down again?
Okay, so to differentiate if the cup and handle was like a bouncing cat or a ball trap or a false breakout, essentially what we do is, because I was looking at the hourly candle, which when we're in a sustained period of a downward trend, we move from the tiny minute markers, like what we'd use for scalp trading, and we move it to the higher increments. Okay, so to confirm that the inverted cup and handle is actually validating a potential breakout, we would then break it down into the 30-minute view, the 15-minute view, and then we would start to look for the formation and the body of the candle, which would correlate and validate the reversal to the bullish side. And the way that we would do that is using a combination of trend and resistant lines, Fibonacci, tools, overlays, just various different approaches. So yeah, to validate the hourly cup and handle formation, I would then break it down to, which I have, into the 30 and 15-minute view. And then if you really want to get precise, the minute view. And that's all you need to do to confirm or validate the bigger time frames on these candles. But it's, as I said, it's like we've gone down like quite a lot in price, like not far or 50% depending on your exchange. I mean, this is fantastic. I mean, this is time to start buying your little amounts, guys. It really is. But yeah, that hopefully that answers your question. If it's a bigger time frame and you want to validate it and it's not a false breakout, do your wedge, do your fib levels, and then break down the candles into smaller markers, like as I said, 30-minute, 15-minute, and 10-minute, and then that will then validate it. So then you've got kind of cross correlation, cross validation, as well as using other kind of quantitative data analysis techniques, which, you know, there's plenty out there, but don't want to confuse things. But just look at the MACD.
I posted
Thank you so much,
charts that I'm doing at the 1 minute. So if you guys want to look at the one I just posted in chat, and then the one before that, and then there's one more before that, you can cross-reference the three to see what I'm doing at the 1 minute mark, and you'll see that time intervals and these correlations, how they're lining up. And I've explained it to some of the guys in the chat already, so you can take a look at that.
Is that Jinx?
Yeah, it's me.
Yeah, was that? Would you agree with would you agree with that validation of the inverted cup and handle going to the bullish side?
We're 13K. We're chart homies.
Huh?
If I Google inverted cup and handle pattern, it says after the handle it will go down again, even further. What is your thoughts about that?
So again, we need to contextualize anything that we see in terms of data and visualization in relation to the pattern formation. Look, we're massively bearish. We're massively bearish. Look at the downward trend. Okay, so we are hugely bearish. Now, if Bitcoin, if it goes under 10, fantastic. I mean, again, we get things wrong sometimes, but if it goes under 10, that's more than like a 55% correction, right? Or whatever you want to call it. But this is not pertaining to just Bitcoin. This is pertaining to the entire crypto market at the moment. It is taking a reset. So if you could draw like a Fibonacci retracement, just a basic Fibonacci retracement over the entire market right now, what you'd actually see is it would be probably 0.236 red zone of the Fibonacci, which means it has to bounce back, because if it goes down any under, then the entire thing would collapse. That's not going to happen, because you can't pull out like however much money is in the cryptocurrency market in 5 seconds, because it would spam the banks for starters, and it'd also bring down the dollar with it as well, and Wall Street. You got, like, realistically, they've been trading in Bitcoin through derivatives and various other ways that I've said for so long. Don't need to get into that. The entire market is taking a reset to 0.5, which is always a good level on Fibonacci after such a bullish run, which we've seen across the entire market. The entire market, each coin has had its turn of going and breaking. We've had so many all-time highs. Like you can't keep going up and up and up. That becomes a parabolic tulip, and that essentially becomes, like a Ponzi scheme or easy gold or e-gold. Look what happened to that. It got shut down for that entire reason. So the entire market is just resetting, and it's just finding its support levels. And believe me, if you look at just down to 0.001% of the red, or you'd say a coin's in 40%, if I broaden out the decimal limit, I'm starting to see an increase in price very gradually. So don't worry. Do not worry. Don't always, like I said, don't always believe just one thing that you Google. You need to cross-validate it, at least, right, 3 sources, right? So to validate something that you believe or something you've heard, I want you to validate it with at least 3 sources, because if you don't, you're just looking at it from one point of view that's often biased, and that is misinformed. Okay, you need to cross-validate, and then you need to kind of combine fundamentalism to then see if it's actually true or not, and that is the best way to do it.
I think there's a lot to be said for a market that, like, the entire cryptocurrency market was up to 600 billion a few days ago, and now it's only at 443 billion. Comparatively speaking, Wall Street is worth over 21.7 trillion. So because Bitcoin has so many pioneers, there's guys that own hundreds, if not thousands and thousands of whole Bitcoin. And they pulled out, and there were some public figures that pulled out this week. And what you're seeing, I think, is a reaction to that volume, because it is such a small cap. When you have big whales like that who move their money, you're going to have other whales going to copy those whales, and you're going to see the reactions from that large amount being pulled out.
Of course, but if that pertained to be true, future contracts, especially CME, wouldn't even entertain this. Okay. Now, as I said, with the futures, as much as I don't want, this level of institutionalized money coming into it and Wall Street penetrating in the way that they are now, I kind of like it, because the point is, it's always going to ensure that liquidity will flow into it, irrespective of how many times it gets shorted. And as I've said, it can only get shorted so many times, because eventually they will end up at a deficit, because if the contracts are not fulfilled on these futures, they get liquidated and somebody has to pay the price, and that will be Wall Street with all their big bucks. So guess what, guys? It doesn't matter if they're taking money out, because the main bulk of money realistically is held by those hodlers, and it's held by people who bought back in 2009, 10 and 11 and throughout, and they lapped up those coins and saw the protocol and where it was going. And realistically, a Wall Street trader wouldn't have known that unless he was heavily involved in source code and IT tech and networking with developers. And I don't know many Wall Street traders who do, and I don't know many developers who are willing to really give up valuable information to then inform a Wall Street trader in the future to then say, this is where this might go. Hey, let's work out a plan and let's have a real bad impact upon it and make money. That's not going to happen. That's why CME futures are trading. And believe me, come January, February, you're going to see the full power of what futures and Wall Street money really does. They're just testing you guys. They're testing you. They're getting you to sell your coins, and they're going to lap them up at a short profit, at a short price, as well as shorten their position. So they're getting like 2,000% leverage, literally.
Wall Street's already dumping right now. They're dumping a ton of cash in.
We're coming towards the end, right? We're coming towards the end of the year, right? So it's always like we're coming towards the end of the year. So let's think about psychology, psychological factors. Psychology is the only thing that drives the market. Supply and demand is psychologically perceived, right? It's all psychologically driven because valuation is only derived in terms of principality. I mean, why is a Lamborghini worth X hundreds, thousands of pounds or dollars? Because we say it is, because the owners say it is, because the producers say it is, because the manufacturers say a car part costs $10 or whatever. Everything is principality and interpreted from psychology and the perceived value. Now, the fact that we've got CME futures and all these big boys coming into it now, of course they're going to short it to get the coins at the cheap, and then once they throw in the big money, which will be January, February, because they're testing the market now, and guess what? They're succeeding because they're testing the market and they're trying to see when things start to get shorted, what is the interaction, what's the response from the public? Because all we need to do is look at every single recession and look at the scaremongering that happens on media. How many people get fearful because of what they see in the news, which is half the time rubbish. Okay, that's what's happening now. That's what they're doing now. They're psychologically manipulating the new amateur people to sell their stuff at a loss. They end up in debt, probably take out loans in the real world of fiat. They then consolidate those loans, which they know people won't be able to pay back, and dump that back into future contracts and then back into crypto. Rinse, repeat, make profit. It is like that. It's just one of those things. But I'm going to stop going on because I don't want to take it away too much. But it's a big picture here. This is not just.
That's real good.
This is not just with so they're starting to short their positions and they're taking money out now. Hey guys, guess what? Let them take the money out because you know how many contracts are already waiting to be liquidated for next February, next March, and things like that. They're not gonna short themselves. Okay, all they're gonna short is people's fuses when they allow the emotions to overrun rational decisions, and that merely is it.
Yeah, man, you said everything you had to say. You need to say right now. That's the best speech I heard in crypto in a while.
But yeah, that's that. Yeah, don't worry, guys. The whole market is just having a little bit of a reset. It's all had a boom. Just think of the entire market right now. If you could just draw a Fibonacci across it all, which you can't obviously, but if you could, you would see that this is merely in a 0.236 zone. It's a retest and it's just consolidating, and people are taking a profit out for Christmas. This is not all about Wall Street because we need to remember. It's not just the top 100 coins. There are many other coins out there which do have money and liquidity in them as well. You know, we can't just look at the top 5 coins. So don't worry.
One question. When do you think it'll go back up above the all-time high?
I don't want to be making any calls right now. The charts will probably, not probably, the charts suffice and always come true. So when the chart's updated for BTC, see what it says. But every analysis or every professional or every trader has their own interpretation of where price might go. So in relation to Rick, in relation to highly respected men such as Tony Bays, Warren Buffett, many other people, this is healthy, guys. This is healthy. This is needed, right? So yeah, I want to see 22 to 25,000 US dollars. That's what I want to see Bitcoin for before the year is out. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, this is not the first time.
Can I ask you something? You said, can I ask you something?
Yeah, of course you can. Far away, dude.
You said that Wall Street was just testing the market.
Yeah.
Okay, but you mean that they are controlling the market? They are controlling the dips and the pumps?
So I would say This is what I mean. So the fact that we're in a decentralized, deregulated cryptocurrency market, which is basically advanced kind of encryption, which cannot be intervened by any government agency. The only regulation they can put on it is when you then withdraw your money to fiat into your bank. That's where you might find some issues. But in terms of the crypto world, they can't do anything right. However, the way that inflation or deflation can be caused is by shorting and by causing this panic and this psychological approach in making people believe that this is collapsing, which would also coincide with news that we see maybe a few weeks ago that it's about time it's going to crash. It's only around the corner. Listen, guys, if Warren Buffett says something that is the opposite to what we're seeing, I'm going with Warren Buffett. And believe me, the guy, he just look him up, see what he says about cryptocurrency, and also look at the fact that America's actually looking or already starting to implement their own kind of blockchain system, because they know that the current way in which the banking institutions work and the cost it has to them is massive. They want to get things for a lot cheaper. That means blockchain technology. So it's already happening, guys. It's already been adopted into government agencies. It's in testing phase. There's certain things we don't know about. And the first test phase is allowing Wall Street and the activation of futures and contracts. Otherwise, they won't be doing it. So you don't need to worry. They're not manipulating the market. They are manipulating the mindset. There's a very big difference. They're manipulating emotions, and emotions will always mislead you and lead to irrational choices. I think, anyway.
Like the mainstream is always looking for some sort of authority, and when the economical people are like fighting around, then they see that as an authority.
Of course, I mean, realistically, I'm actually going to go in a second, but realistically, there's always been a division between the poor and the rich and the middle class. Now, the middle class is basically starting to diminish, right? And as I said, the gap is widening. However, the average person have gone from rags to riches. Now, there's an element that when people start to get their power back and their rights, and they're free from financial oppression that's been imposed upon society for so long, hence why we look at some countries who their denominations of their currencies, and for instance, India or Indonesia, 500 million rupees for a pound. That is because that the manipulation and distribution of money, wealth, and kind of geopolitics and socialism and all those different ideologies has such a massive, it's like a messy, tangled web. And it's like this framework is built upon this glue of corruption. But cryptocurrency is very different. It's given the average person the chance to, try and have control of their money and allow it to appreciate and not be subject to deflation, to benefit the 1 or the 5% elitists in the worlds of these oligarchs who continue time and time again to sabotage, and they do succeed. But cryptocurrency, they will not succeed at. Why? It's deregulated, it's decentralized, and it was derived from Bitcoin, and Bitcoin derived from philosophical and fundamentalism of humanistic approach to finally step up and say, this needs to stop, guys. So they capitalized upon a digital era, and they provided us with something which says, hey, we can put this pound or this dollar into Bitcoin or whatever coin we want. And I know next year it's not going to be down on the floor because this Federal Reserve or this UK Mint continues to print out paper to offset its deficit and pay back other debts to countries, which we then have to pay back as taxpayers. Okay? It's a very different world.
Yes, but they're not controlling the supply, but they can control the trend.
They can't control they can't control they can't control the trend. They can have maybe an impact or effect on price for a certain amount of time, but that's it. Because if they continue to do so, they're going to scare away everybody. If they scare away everybody, the money's going to go. So then they're going to lose out their money, and they know that cryptocurrency is the most highly profitable market since the dawn of man. If you scale it down to when Wall Street first opened and when the crypto market first opened, crypto market and the cryptocurrency is more valuable and has made more returns than anything that's ever existed, and that's a fact. And that is because encryption and being anonymous and not being subject to persecutory action is a goddamn beautiful thing. So the government, they can't do anything. Simple as that. Yes, they might be able to.
How can a government exist without taxes?
How can? Because the point is, a government taxes, okay, but does the tax actually reflect the real cost of what they're imposing upon their people? No, it doesn't. Because if it did, you wouldn't have inflation of currency, standards of living going down, poverty increasing, and wages not going up, but products and food increasing at a parabolic rate to the point where people who are professionals are having to go to food banks.
Do you think this has anything to do with Charlie Lee selling his Litecoin?
Charlie Lee would. I do not believe
He
Charlie
donated
Lee.
it, didn't he?
Charlie Lee would not sabotage
He
cryptocurrency.
donated like 70%.
Yeah, Charlie Lee, he's a very good figurehead. Anybody who speaks from a philosophical approach, of course, wanting to profit, but anyone who speaks from a philosophical approach that pertains to a protocol to actually benefit a solution that can have a wider impact on society and bring in more opportunities is somebody who should be embraced. Charlie Lee is not a bad man.
No, I'm not saying he's a bad man. I'm just thinking that maybe it could have brought something on because of this. I'm actually a big supporter of Charlie Lee, so that's why I was just wondering about this.
If we just look at the entire, if we look at the entire coin market cap right now, the entire market is just having a little break, guys. Think of it like this as an analogy, right? The market's been having a run. It's been sprinting. It's been sprinting. Okay, it's sitting down. It's having a breather. It's drinking some of its Gatorade. It's tying its laces back up. It's doing its stretches. It's standing up. It's looking into the sky, having some breaths, and it's going to start running again.
Market cap's increased 50 billion in the last 45.
Yeah, I was just going to say 75 billion in the last 45.
That was the goddamn most inspiring thing I've ever heard.
Definitely.
By the way, is there any source showing that Warren Buffett said
Hello?
something positive about crypto?
Pardon?
Is there any source showing that Warren Buffett said something positive about crypto?
There's loads of sources out there. So I do need to.
He was against it last time.
Buffett doesn't understand it. It's not his thing. He's going to be fine.
We can hear you.
He's involved.
This is the source.
Look at John Cate as well. His recent comments on.
Guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear.
Loud and clear.
What's happening with Bitcoin?
Right, okay, we've discussed that in depth. Somebody just said that I forgot to say this is not legal or financial advice. Rightly so, and I really should have said that. Or anybody who gives advice, guys, anything that is said anywhere, validate it yourself. It's not 100%. So yeah, do not take my word for what I say. However, there's credibility to what I say, evidently, because I've just raised the market cap by 75 million. Thank you.
I just want to say
75 billion.
Ripple is booming. Some
Pardon?
really great social context that you've given there, man. It's fantastic.
No, that's good. But yeah, thank you guys. Thank you for listening. I hope everyone agrees with the issues. I'm open to scrutiny, but before I do say anything or I go into depth, I make sure that I know what I'm talking about, because I literally spend all the available time that I have, spare time, in encouraging and empowering this community, the people, across many other avenues of life. But yeah, it is not financial advice, nor is it legal advice, so do not take my word for it.
Are you Satoshi? Are you Satoshi?
Am I Satoshi? No, I'm not Satoshi.
I know who he is. I'm not going to say.
I'm not Satoshi. But the point is, guys, just trade safely. Do not worry. Okay. Again, the market is standing up. I'm looking outside. I can see him. He's having a sip of his Gatorade. He's getting ready. So don't worry. All right.
It's your money at the end of the day. Research, and research again. And it's the same people talking about altcoins at the minute. I mean, I've spoke to people who have no idea what they're even buying, and that really needs to be looked at. I mean, look into altcoins in so much detail, look into things, and then make a decision based on all that you've done, and then check it with the community as well if you want to be extra safe.
Man, let's have a beer together. What do you say? And talk more about crypto.
Is this Cryptoholics Anonymous?
Yes. Yes, it is.
I say United for president.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
my margin trade is now, instead of being minus 300%, it's now minus 70%.
It was that speech right there.
I'm wondering what the rebound's going to look like, actually.
I think we're having it now.
I already put up a spiral showing the rebound.
No, I want to jump like to space.
Are we still on?
Did you not listen to the speech?
I want to buy. Let's start trading. I want to buy right now.